hertz thing, the 120 or 240 megahertz. So this is probably, what do you think, 120? I don't know.
So like my MacBook is like
240, or is it more than that? They don't even measure that way anymore, do they? It's like they don't measure 10. It's not 720 or 10 whatever. It's like 4K, and then now there's 8K.
Well, that's video resolution.
No, I understand, but
I think if we put it on a more current Mac or iPad.
The last thing they're going to do is put up another $1,400 to buy.
No, but I'd be just curious if it has.
I'm curious too. Yeah.
It's good to test it.
Do you have a new iPad? And you can load the software.
I already have it. You just have to log into your account and download it, or however that all gets on there.
Yeah. You want to bring it next week?
Yeah, we can try it.
Are you here next week?
Yeah.
Okay. We can try it.
We can play with it and see what it looks like.
What we're going to do is afterwards, we're going to plug it directly into the projector.
Right. There's no lag.
And to see if there's a lag. If there's a lag.
You know what the song is today?
God bless America.
God bless America.
God bless America.
Hey.
Jesus loves the little children.
If there's a lag, then it is the processing software, right, or equipment, firmware.
I think there's a lag because when I watched it, I think because this is direct wired to that now.
No.
It goes to the where?
It goes through the box.
That box?
Yeah, and then from that box it goes to a converter because you're not running HDMI, you're running some other.
Oh, you're running VGA.
Well, the next step above VGA. He told me what it was, but it's because you don't.
So does the box just split it? Is that why they do the box?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the HDMI issue, but it could be the box issue. Does this have a direct through without being? Or does it have a signal processor in it? You know.
It goes into that box to another converter and back to HDMI. So there's conversions going here between two digital formats.
Well, it's only running 50 hertz.
Yeah.
Which is super slow.
Can he move it up to 50 hertz, or that's?
I'm not.
Yeah,
I could, but we're too close to the meeting. If I jack it up, I might not get back.
Hi, ladies. Hello. What about Saka? Did you talk to him?
No, I didn't. It's a holiday.
Vicky Jacobs, you're still doing the February mixer, right? I haven't heard from you, but I want to make sure.
What's the date again? What's the date again?
The 9th. February 9th. Like a month.
A month.
From now.
I'm going to send him an email right now.
I'll be gone.
Huh?
Remember we talked, you were going to do the February.
We're having a lot of trouble with that.
All right,
It's going to be the worst one.
I'm gone. I'm in Mexico.
Okay. All right.
I'm drinking tequila.
I'm working on it.
I'm trying to kill another brain
We
cell.
got Tom on it.
No, we have to do. All right. So what time again?
5:30. Well, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
So, but you need it from 5 for setup and stuff. Who did you start it?
Yeah.
I started
Man, that bell needs some work. It's getting a little bit tired, I
Okay,
think. Bob
come
Wilson
see me
hooked
after
up
the
on it
meeting.
Too much with that great big sledgehammer. That's what I'm thinking happened to it. So, first off, fellow Rotarians and guests, Happy New Year. Welcome to downtown and to the Tucson Convention Center. Can you believe it's 2022? How So you're going to see a number of people that are wearing this. I want to remind you, if this is something that you would like on your badge, you just need to let us know. Some people everybody has a different tolerance for what's going on. And again, if you're not a shaker or a hugger, and I don't think anybody really is, you should probably get one of these to remind everybody of that. So we're going to start off with the pledge and song. Mitch Piesick is going to handle the pledge and the song, and also he's going to do an inspiration for us and some pitch hitting. So a little bit of thing about Mitch. Mitch joined us in March of 21. His classification is Business Services, Business Consulting. He's with the Piesick Consulting Group, and he's a graduate of the University of Illinois. Mitch?
Before I do the pledge, I have a threat. Is that if you don't sing along with the song, you're going to have to hear me sing, and none of us want that. So, all right, let's start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Woo! Yeah!
So I do have some bad news that I want to share, and I'd like a moment of silence. Amy Graves' mother did pass away on December 8th. She's asked that prayers from club members would be very helpful. She's hoping to be back with us in town in a couple of months, and when she's done taking care of things back home. So a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Now for the inspiration, we're going to call back up Mitch. Mitch is doing a little bit of picturing today. He did it earlier for Chris Dodge, and now he's going to do it again. So Gary, thank you for a nice rendition. We don't need Chris, do we? Mitch, come on in, pitch it in.
Welcome back, Gary.
According to research conducted by the Philosophy Department at the University of California, Berkeley, awe is a feeling you get
We're the AV
when
crew.
something is so vast that it expands our thinking, decreases stress and anxiety, and increases positive emotions and overall satisfaction in life. We often associate awe with something rare and beautiful, such as music, nature, or a spiritual experience. But people can also trigger awe. And this includes people that we consider our nearest and our dearest, which psychologists call interpersonal awe. Often this interpersonal awe is responsible for life's big, sweeping changes, yet it also happens in smaller, special moments. Be open to recognizing your moments of awe. They can be found all around you throughout the day. Savor it in the moment. Tell others about it. This will reinforce your positive emotions and help others feel good as well. And really make the effort to recall these special moments later in your life, be it in a day, a week, a month, or years later. Studies show that we can again elicit a sense of awe simply by remembering a past awesome experience. And it is important to thank the people who have awed us. This will make both of you feel good. People who practice gratitude have higher levels of happiness and psychological well-being than those who don't, which brings me to you. I am in awe of so many people in this room, so smart, so dedicated, so generous with their time, talent, and treasure, so welcoming. Thank you for being so awesome.
Thank you. Please be seated and enjoy your lunch. It's a fellowship. We'll be back in about 15 minutes with our lunch program.
So Dan, this is really a test to see if people really enjoyed seeing the live, man on the screen. Should be.
Just a quick reminder, we're selling raffle tickets by the door over here in case anybody walked by with missing that. We're going to be close to $2,400 on that King of Clubs today, so get your tickets while they last. And welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Did you get anything good for Christmas?
Oh yeah. I got these beautiful waterproof crystal glasses. And some make it like whiskey to pour in.
It's a simple fix.
Absolutely.
That's right.
How about you?
Kayak. The wife got me a kayak.
Excellent.
A kayak.
Kayak.
Yeah. Do you have a place on your car you can put it on?
RV?
Dude,
Yeah.
I put it on the back of the Jeep. The Jeep was on the back. It's a little mule. I could.
Hello, Wayne.
Can you flip over and not come up, or I mean, does it flip over that easy, or is that just really a myth?
You know, it really depends on your wind and how stable you are. If you have decent balance and not in like really gusty winds, again, like if you're sideways in waves, you're in trouble. But I mean, if I'm in waves in a kayak, I'm in the wrong place.
You should have never been in there.
So that's yeah.
What are they made out of now?
Well, the typical ones are plastic, that ABS plastic. We got a little bit fancier or something or other. We couldn't find like kayaks because of COVID. Were like everything else. Anything to do with outdoors is sold out. Like if you're in the outdoor business, it's time to get it.
So it's a little more durable than the plastic.
It's a higher level of plastic.
Right. So it gives a little bit, bends a little bit, or is it not rigid? It's still rigid. Okay.
Rigid. You can get the blow up ones. We didn't do that. They seem like a waste of time to me.
Is it hard to get in? And
Oh, cool. Yeah.
is there a trick to get into them, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to like slide into them, and then you almost want to keep a paddle so you can use the paddle.
I'm probably beyond the flexibility to get into a kayak.
It's not that bad. Well, it really comes down to like, are you getting onto it on shore or on a dock? Because there's different techniques for each.
I would get into it on the shore and then push me in.
Well, yeah, that's the easier way to do it.
How do you get out, though? It's easier to get out than get in.
I mean, the easiest thing to do is you get somebody who's the spry one to get out and then help anybody else who's coming in.
Yes. That'll be my son.
If you can, now me, I just roll out. And I mean, I land in the water because I'm usually like this time of year, I'll wear like a shorty suit.
Right.
You know, like just
right.
like almost like a. And so I don't really care because it dries almost instantaneously.
No, I've seen them. I know what you're talking about.
So like I don't mind just jumping over, and then I have all my compartments are all watertight. So even if the thing flips, I don't really give a shit. So.
Now, do they make 2-man kayaks?
Yeah, that's the divorce special.
Okay.
Everybody should get that once in their life to see how good their relationship really is. Spend 3 hours with your spouse yelling at you with a stick in their hand and see how that goes.
Or buy a trailer and then have one spouse trying to line it up.
So much for the.
While the other's driving.
Karen and I are pretty good with that. We have it all down.
That's awesome.
So much for the romantic canoe ride.
So on the trailer thing, like I don't know if you guys have. Do you have one? Do you guys have the? So this is the one that was cracking me up. So we're backing this thing in, right? It's nighttime. It's pitch black in the park. I can't see, so she'll be like left, right, this, and she's telling me like all good. Then at one point she goes, "Okay, go ahead and straighten it up." I'm like, "What does that mean? I can't see shit. Is that left, right? Like I don't even know what does straighten it up mean."
You have no really sense of where you are. You could be going diagonal. You don't know.
Like, you're gonna have to be more specific. Well, what more specific do you need than straighten it up? Like I can't see.
Oh my goodness.
And the voice gets a little louder and a little louder.
Like, I can get out and go look, but from my vantage point in the driver's seat, I cannot tell what that means.
Can you elaborate on what
See,
straight means?
I go through that with directions because when I get lost, I get really frustrated. And then if I'm getting lost because my wife is giving me directions, it's even compounded. So with GPS, has probably saved our marriage.
I just do line of sight. As long as I know line of sight, I'm good. Like as long as I get a bearing, then I can go away from, towards, to the side. You know, like if I have a bearing, I can do it.
Well, that's why a lot of pilots crash into the ground because they don't know where the horizon is.
Right. You gotta have a bearing.
That's what happened to John Kennedy Jr.
No, you got upside down. I thought.
Well, but he had no.
Right.
And
what do you
they
call
were
it?
over the
There's a word for what happened to him.
Yeah.
You know, in aviation. And you know what? He should have never did it. He should have drove there to Martha's Vineyard.
Well, you have an airplane.
Rich as hell and can fly, yeah, right?
And you have
Yeah, but it was rainy, Jackie.
Hey, big boy, what's going on?
Hey, my orthopedic retired.
I don't know if you've ever tried it.
He's going to run Arizona Community Physician. So can you text me when you get a chance the name of your guy?
John Moultrie, I will text it to you.
And guess what? I'm going to go see him
We were coming in.
You should
for
go
a
see him.
complete evaluation and determine do I fix the right
Check
one
that off the list
and
and
fix
done.
the
Like, if I
left
kill
one,
myself, it's
or
one thing. If I got people complain that I love.
but
I
George
don't have-
is
if I had
not
been
even
doing it for 5 or
recommending
10 years,
anybody.
where
He's
I was
just
a little
saying
bit younger and I have
you're
a little
on
bit
your
more,
own.
like,
I'm telling you, my guy is
fine,
worth
but
the
I
price of
started
admission.
probably
I think it's going to pay off. Thank you.
Yes, I texted to
and
you.
I realized that I probably would never have the mental acuity that if I got in a really tough situation to do that.
Man, that looks appetizing. Look
I
at
have this-
that. It looks really
It's kind of
good.
warm.
I have the
Are these
vegetarian.
Vegetarian?
Looks good.
and one other thing? Are these peppers?
No,
But the
but
But I
plate's
think
hot.
like not the spicy pepper.
I mean, the plate's even.
Is it a bell pepper in it? Is it a pepper like a
Well,
vegetable?
they
it looks more like a.
This is maybe a sign of good time.
Oh, that's a
It's
bell
not
pepper.
overall the food's going to.
I don't know if that would be like a
Yeah,
French.
but you know what's going to happen to Westward
That's a-
Look?
that's
This guy's going to
That's a
kick
bell pepper.
ass.
So I'm allergic to
against us, which is
peppers?
okay.
Okay.
But I only
you
can I
never
get
know.
can I get one of these without the green beans?
Now that's the last
I'll tell them. Yeah.
Wednesday in the month.
It'd be fine without the
Okay.
green
So
beans.
And then
we're
there's
back
somebody
here.
else here.
Yes. No.
There's nobody here. Is there?
No.
Okay. And yours is vegetarian, right?
February 2nd.
Okay.
We're at Westwood Lock. Yeah.
Okay. So your team,
So even if it touches like
your team is going to be
I'm
what you
allergic
see,
to capsaicin
and then she and I on Westward Look will flip rolls because it's all new.
break it out, break into half.
And
Like
then,
if something is cooked,
Are there allergies?
But I show you the spreadsheet. But
but it's all nightshade.
what I'm going to do on the spreadsheet is I'm also going to put a column so you can put this position in there too. Then there's one document
So
for you
does
and
it have
I.
pepper in it? 'Cause
I
it has
can you can
capsaicin.
put it on
Oh,
Google
but
Docs,
it
or I can
says
put it on
the
Google
peppers
Docs, so
are-
we all can go in and see it.
Happy New
You
Year.
have Google Docs? You do? Okay.
Oh, no, I
Hey,
don't.
oh,
And that's,
I don't.
you don't? Okay. So I'll just give you
yeah,
a shared Google
blow up like
Doc.
a big balloon. So even
I'll
if
give
it's
you
touching
shared
it, if
Google
it's
Docs,
any-
I don't have any
Then you can
allergies.
then you can write to it and I can write to it.
Because I love salsa.
Oh, because of the peppers you can't have.
Yep.
You guys can eat? Or?
Yeah, mine's coming.
Mine too.
Do you have a special?
Yeah, I decided to go vegetarian today. I was tired of chicken.
Well, look how good this looks, though.
It does look really delicious.
I was tired of chicken. I wanted to go a new way, Tom.
Are you
Okay.
taking your kayak to Mexico?
You know, they are ocean going, so I could, and we do have the things that you could do that. I haven't decided that so part of the problem that I have is if you go to Mexico with them, things tend to walk off, and I don't know how to secure them from that.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah, like even if you put it on top of your RV, somebody would take it.
Well, no. Sometimes what happens is when you go, like some of the places, they have storage units you can put stuff in, like your toys and stuff. But
Reliable as that.
I would be more. So we're going to go up to like Northern California, Oregon, and Washington this summer, and so we'll take them for all that
Very nice.
ocean and lake. We're going to go to Coeur d'Alene.
Thank you.
Now, when we go to Florida, we're supposed to go to Florida, the Keys for March. Whether we go or not, there's a few things that have to happen. But if we do that, I would take it. Because being out of the ocean would be.
Amazing, especially in Florida.
Well, on the Keys, there's no.
The waves. No, I've never been to the Keys. So
Really?
I bet you they're beautiful.
Oh, it's the best place on the planet.
I love the ocean. It's
So just remember, like, there's, I don't know, what is it, like 100 of them? There's a ton of them, right? And so the thing that's interesting about the Keys is that when you wake up and you're on the island, like,
how cool is that?
thank you.
And I'm just gonna take this one. A little bit. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And they're gonna make one, or even without the peppers.
Just with okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, of
Look,
course.
Tom, vegetarian baby.
Meatloaf.
Is that meatloaf? Vegetarian meatloaf. No, it's meat. It is meat.
No, it's meat.
It's
It's
beyond.
vegetarian.
It's like a Beyond
But-
Meat.
What? So it's not meat. It's not hamburger then.
It's pretty tasty.
It looks like hamburger.
It's
Sorry.
pretty fancy, yeah.
How's it taste?
Very good, actually. I'm working in the. I'm trying to eat less meat in 2022.
Oh, nice.
All right.
I just got my physical back, Tom. My total cholesterol was 108, and my A1C was 3.2.
3? Nobody has that low.
3.2 is lower than the doctor.
Whoa, wow, that's pretty cool.
What's your glucose?
My blood glucose 69,
Man,
and
you're so far away from having diabetes.
and my
Come on, you're not eating any carbs?
I eat that as carbs. But I work out like a hellion, so I work out 2 hours a day.
2 hours a day?
Pretty much, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Are you on a machine or several machines? Or
Yeah, I do lifting for an hour and then I do cardio for an hour too.
Wow. Every day?
6 days a week.
Okay.
Awesome.
My resting heart rate's down to 46 when I sleep.
What's your blood pressure?
Yeah, like 105 or 70, 65.
That's, mine's 120, 125. When I'm in the doctor's office, it shoots up to 140 every time. But I'm having a glucose problem right now. So I'm supposed to cut back on everything.
That you like?
Mostly carbs.
That you like?
Yeah, everything you like, yeah.
Well, we do have you seen that Green Chef thing? The Green Chef is like like you get the meal in and then you make it. Like it's like all the different pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually very good. But
I did notice. I looked real quick. There's no peppers listed on here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, and I was like, you know what? Normally you're very good about that. So
Yeah.
it's new chef.
So I was
they
pretty
probably-
surprised. It might have been like a last minute
I
ad
think
or
they
whatever.
did. I think they did it because it makes it look pretty.
So what I may do is I'll just say if this is the case, you have to put it on here for our people that have allergies.
Oh, perfect. Thanks,
yes.
Carrie.
Oh yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah, my doctor when I went in for my blood work, my PSA was 0.45. Wasn't even 1 point.
I think, I think the lowest my A1C's been is 5 something, which is fine. But in the 3s,
Well, here was the funny part. My cholesterol's 98. My good cholesterol's 67.
And then you add them together and like, oh, you got high cholesterol.
No.
No?
So what they do is good cholesterol is supposed to be a third of your total cholesterol. Mine's 2/3.
Yes.
yeah. It's a relationship between the two.
Right.
And they come up with some kind of a count.
And then my triglycerides were like 65. They were like non-existent.
Yeah, I'm only paying attention to the glucose and the A1C right now. The cholesterol is, they put me on that drug where it keeps the plaque from sticking, and I'm on the lowest dose that you can use. And that's just because my dad had a heart attack but nothing's sticking, But they just make sure.
So a few years back so everything that my dad had wrong with him, I decided when I was 45 I was going to get a specialist. Urologist, cardiologist, So I go once or twice a year, and I pay a couple $100 to go, whatever, but this year I did the...
Well, worth it.
Well, right, because if you ever have a problem, you already have a guy.
Right.
Right? And I already got a pickle. Like, I'm not just getting the assigned guy that needs new patients.
No, they ask you, do you have a cardiologist? Do you have
I have all.
Do you have an ear, nose, throat?
I do.
You do?
I do. I have a gut surgeon. I have everything. Like I have.
Well, that's because you've had, how many colonoscopies have you had in your life? 2?
3. But my cardiologist this year goes, you're 55. Let's do a stress test.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go.
He's back. Introduction of guests. Please welcome up Yuri, who's doing a little pitch hitting for our buddy Curtis, or excuse me, for Chris Dodge, who I guess is kind of busy right now with the Jazz Festival. Gary, as you probably know, joined our club in June of 17. His classification is medical and healthcare, family wellness, and he owns Tucson Family Wellness. Gary.
Hello, hello. It's good to see you guys today. I was imagining, looking at your faces, there was a moment of like, oh, I missed you. And I was like, no, that's not right. I am just really glad to see you. Two guests of Mark Irvin. TJ Justwitz? Ah, welcome.
Hi, TJ.
Say it for us. Juskowitz and Pat Lopez. All right. Excellent. That's my job.
Well, in case you didn't know, Pat sits on the board of El Tour. TJ runs El Tour. And John Cole, who also is on the board with El Tour. I guess at his advanced age, he probably forgot he was supposed to be here. Well, I'll ask him later. He's not, well, it doesn't mean we can't pick on him. John's an old friend and a client. And he's kind of used to my nonsense. So today we're going to hear about Mission Gardens. But first, let's direct our attention to the video introduction that our pals Rick Rose with Film Creations and Matt Russell with Russell Public Media teamed up to create. With your team, can you run that video?
Roger Pfeiffer was born in Saginaw, Michigan, where he grew up reading, collecting rocks, and spending an inordinate amount of time looking for arrowheads. In 1960, Roger enrolled at the University of Michigan with a major in anthropology, which he switched to geology and then to forestry. A self-described underachiever, Roger left school for a year to work in California in the spacecraft industry. In 1963, he returned to the University of Michigan, where he majored in education, science, math, and English. His first teaching job was in Ann Arbor, followed by a year in Fort Defiance, Arizona, teaching Navajo children. Frustrated with an administration that was locked in the 1950s, Roger left the reservation to get his master's in educational administration and leadership at State University of New York at Brockport. He returned to Arizona, enrolled in the University of Arizona's doctoral program in anthropology and education, and worked as an elementary teacher in TUSD.
Better.
After teaching for 8 years, and following a 2-year leave of absence to teach in Singapore, Roger returned to Tucson, where he assumed a number of administrative positions, including elementary and middle school principal, superintendent of the Vail School District, and finally superintendent of TUSD. Roger retired in 2008, and in 2009 became involved with a group trying to preserve Tucson's cultural assets on the west side of the Santa Cruz River. This involved the preservation and recreation of Tucson Origins Heritage Park, something that has remained his passion to this day. And he continues to serve on the board of the nonprofit Friends of Tucson's Birthplace. Let's have an historic Rotary welcome for today's speaker, Roger Pfeiffer.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Where did you get those pictures? Crazy. I am Roger Pfeiffer, and you have heard all about me. Let me get my computer up here because I do want to introduce you to take this opportunity to, first of all, to say congratulations on your 100th anniversary last year. I say that because Mission Garden is celebrating your 10th anniversary this year. And we know anniversaries are important for organizations. We expected to have our new executive director here today, Julia Robinson. She was unable to be here. Can we go back to slide number 2?
This is the first slide.
Thank you. Julie is just with us for the past 2 months now, and we've been working now for 9 years without a director, staff reporting to board members. You know what founding boards are like. They get their hands in everything, so we are very helpful. We are very grateful to have an executive director. Next slide. Today I want to go over some things with you and I'd like to show you what we're going to go over with you. So I want to talk about Mission Gardens, Timeline Gardens, 4,100 years of agricultural history on that very piece of property. So it's not just about the mission, it's about everything, why the mission was there in the first place, and the indigenous folks that started agriculture 4,100 years ago. I want to talk about research and partnerships in the garden. I want to talk about stories and reconciliation, which is what Mission Garden is all about. Every plant, everything that in the garden has a story. My 1 hour tours usually take an hour and a half to do, so it is full of stories. I want to talk about the bounty of the garden. People usually ask, what do we do with all that stuff that grows there? I'd like to show you what we do. And then I'd like to talk to you about the future. And one of our gardens that is in the future will be tomorrow's garden. And then have some time for some questions. But first of all, let me talk about the where it ought to be. Okay. So I am going to do we kind of consider this land acknowledgement a very special thing to do.
You're not in control, man.
What the garden's all about. And I would like to read it to you before I start the presentation. From the sweat of our brow to the mud under our nails, everything we do is rooted in the acknowledgement that we are on the ancestral lands of the Tohono O'odham Nation. We strive to protect and care for this land with the awe and respect that the O'odham have inspired in us. We hope all who experience this place will revere and support the people who have dwelled here throughout immemorial seasons, and that we may all thrive together into the future. A little different than most organizations and land acknowledgements, but I feel it's important to do that. Okay, so this is the past and the present. This is a famous photograph of taken in 1880 by that one here, and this is taken from May Mountain. If you can see that, that's this Mission Garden right there in 1880. This is Mission Garden in 1919, I think, when that picture was taken. So it is a lot of the past and the present, but the past is pretty important. So archaeology, actually done by Rio Nuevo in the early 2000s, showed that people began agriculture on that very property 4,100 years ago. It was the first.
I think so too.
It's the oldest continuously piece of cultivated land in the United States that has been archaeologically
no peppers. Oh,
yes,
proven.
A couple of important dates. Father Kino came through here in 1692
I'm allergic to peppers, and it was
and visited the Tucson area. A little bit about that date later in the presentation. In 1797, the Santa Vera was completed, and work began on San Augustine mission, which was actually not as much a mission as it was called a visitas in Spanish. Visitas meaning a place where missionaries and explorers could come through and stay. We call it the Missionary Motel. And that was the convento and the chapel and the granary that inhabited about 4 acres just to the northeast of the garden. That no longer exists on the surface, but there are archaeological remains of those buildings. A little bit about Tucson Origins Heritage Park later. In 1854, the Gadsden Purchase was made, and Arizona became a territory. That's kind of an important date in terms of our presentation today. In the 1950s, Mission San Augustine site became a landfill. And the convento was basically, the remains of the convento were basically bulldozed down on the surface. 2008 to 2009, the reconstruction of Mission Garden started with Rio Nuevo, and the wall was completed in 2009. 2009, the Friends of Tucson's birthplace, the
I'm allowed to eat one of those.
was organized. And in 2012, we planted our first plants. So everything that you might see in today's presentation and photographs has happened since 2012. There is the past. The gardens that are in the garden are called our early agriculture. That's the next slide, please. Thank you. Early agriculture and the Hohokam gardens, growing the crops that were grown during that time period. In many cases, using the techniques of those peoples. The pre-European contact Omadam garden, a little story about that in just a minute, and the post-European contact. That is an important watershed because what you get to talk about in the garden is something called the Colonial exchange. What did the European, Asian, African world bring over to the Americas? And what did the Americas return to European? Let me ask you this. How many think that tomatoes originated in the old world? Italy, tomato sauce, pasta. How many think that tomatoes originated in the New World? Well, those that just raised their hands are right. Tomatoes originated in Peru and were taken back to Europe, Africa, and Asia. One more. How many think potatoes are old world origin? Nope. New world. Peru again. Peru has hundreds, if not thousands, of varieties of potatoes grown on the various levels of the mountains. But when the missionaries came over, they only took a handful back to Europe. And guess how many varieties they gave to Ireland? What happened to Ireland? Lack of biodiversity wiped out Ireland's one monoculture potato crop. Real lesson in biodiversity. And then one further question. Where did watermelons originate? Old world? New world? Old world? Africa? Here's an interesting story. Next slide, please. The yellow-meated watermelon is the variety that was brought over to the New World, to the Americas. And in this part of the country, our history doesn't necessarily come from the East Coast. It comes from the south, up through Mexico. So what happened is that this watermelon came into Mexico, probably Veracruz area. Who was the first European that we know of that came up here? Right to this very spot? Father Kino. When Father Kino came here, he found the folks growing watermelon.
Yeah.
Any explanation for that? Can you imagine something more valuable in a desert environment than a plant that grows fruit like this, that's inside is a sweet water? What happened? Trade. Those seeds became currency, and they beat the Europeans up here. Now we're growing them. Those are some of the stories that we're able to kind of flesh out in the garden. Next slide, please. After the early ag, the post-Euro, we go into the Spanish colonial period because the post-Euro contact actually is the Spaniards, and they brought a bunch of different crops in here. By the way, one other question: where did tobacco originate? Old World or New World? New World. We refer to it as a garden as Montezuma's second revenge on the world. So the next slide after then is the Spanish colonial period, and then the Mexican garden. So what ended the Spanish colonial period was the Mexican Revolution, and they kicked Spain out, and so Mexico took over, and Mexico really straddles two periods because it is not only its own period, the Mexican period, but it becomes part of the territorial period in 1854 when the Gadsden Purchase happened. And Mexico still was there. Mexico was still a Mexican town. Next slide. Then we come to the Territorial Gardens. And during that territorial period, we have the Yueme or Yaqui, Chinese, Euro-Americans, including a significant Jewish population, which has a significant history here. And we have an African-American garden. I want to refer to you back to something that I didn't talk to you about in the Spanish colonial period. There is a garden called Africans in the Americas. We have two gardens designed for Africans. African Americans who basically came during the territorial period and the statehood period and beyond. But the interesting part of the Spanish colonial period is there was a census taken in 1834, I believe it was, in the Tucson Presidio. There were about 700 people living in the Tucson Presidio. Recent records have indicated the possibility of 15 to 20% of those were Africans in the Spanish army that were either brought up as enslaved peoples or part of the military.
How do I do it?
So when we tried to bring together the history of the earliest African Americans in the garden, we found out they weren't Americans. They were Spanish. So what we refer to that garden is Africans in the Americas. And it's important to make that distinction because the Africans that came up through Spain
There's only 10 people.
and through Mexico came from a different part of Africa than the people who came later on in the from the east. One of them came from northern Africa. The Spanish came from northern Africa, and the eastern migrations came out of western Africa. Their ethnobotany is entirely different, and we're trying to represent those two. It's a very complex history, interesting to try to speak up. Next slide, please. During the Mexican period, there was a house built. How many of you have been to the Sosa Carrillo house? Right next to the community center? Good. There's a nice little fig tree in the back there. And that fig tree has very historical beginnings. So we took some cuttings with permission from that fig tree and planted it in the garden. And we call it the Sosa Carrillo fig. It's a very tasty fig. And we began to research where did the Sosa Carrillo house get their fig tree. And we found out that they had gotten it from somewhere west of the Santa Cruz. And we think that probably the only fig trees that were growing there were in Mission Garden. So what we have gotten is some cuttings from the Sosa Carrillo house growing in the Mission Garden where they originally got the cuttings to grow in the Sosa Carrillo house. Another interesting story to tell. Mission Garden is about authenticity wherever possible. I mean, we do use drip irrigation rather than flood irrigation, but we try to use all of the techniques appropriate to the time period in terms of what they were growing and how they were growing it. We see the garden as in many places as a story, many stories told by many voices. We discuss histories of different cultural experiences and perspectives. And we intend those stories to be exciting, informative, and at times revelatory. There is a project that has gone on between the OTAM and the Arizona State Museum where the elders in the tribe, and the tribe has a history of an oral history tradition. They are read or read the accounts by missionaries of first contact or significant events between the Spanish and the Oda. And then they are recorded talking about the oral history of those very same events from the Oda perspective. And it's a very, very interesting collection of stories where you get not only the history that was written by the people who obviously came out on top in terms of certain struggles, but you also get the history of those people who didn't. And that's what Mission Garden is intended to provide, is a venue for people to talk about these various histories and
yours
be
must be
comfortable.
really hot, like right from
Next
the
slide,
grill to
please.
your plate.
It's very warm and green.
We have a lot of partnerships and collaborations.
So is that clicker now working?
And, I'm sorry, next slide, please.
Never seems to work.
We grow seeds for Native Seed Search. We work with the Ishkashita Refugee Network, work with the Dunbar Pavilion, the Hendag Key, the cultural center on the reservation, Old Pasco Museum, Tucson City of Gastronomy. We make an annual trip to Oaxaca, to the Ethnobotanical Museum there. So it's a very, very lively place. The present. We've talked about the past, we're in the present. We are doing story maps and the bounty, talking about the bounty from the Mission Garden.
Is it light?
Story maps is a whole story unto itself.
30 pounds?
We do soil conservation. One of the things we talk about on field trips and schools tours that come is we ask the question, what do you think is the most important thing we grow in the garden? And they talk about pomegranates and quinces and figs and all the kinds of things we grow. And I say, no, the most important thing we grow is dirt.
It's probably always good to check.
Because you have to grow dirt. You have to take care of the soil in order to make the gardens grow. I mean, the heritage of the Santa Cruz floodplain is a regional treasure. But it's being consumed by other things other than agriculture and growing things. And Mission Garden and hopefully Tucson Origin Heritage Park is a place where we can capture some of that floodplain to show those original uses. We do share the bounty. People often ask, what do we do with all that stuff? I mean, we have fruit trees, we have vegetable gardens. So some of the trees are harvested by what we call our tree stewards, who give a significant contribution and a donation, and they have a plaque by the tree. That's kind of their tree. We take care of it, but they get the fruit. We volunteers are welcome to take food home for their own personal use. We sell produce during our open hours. We sell to selected restaurants and food stores that understand and appreciate heritage foods.
Are we still good to go?
No,
We
your
use our
camera's not
on-site
on.
commercial kitchen to prepare preserves of some of our products. We donate produce to organizations that help provide local food security. And we grow some part of most crops for seeds to guarantee its future. And we also share the bounty with some of our cohabitants. Next slide, please. We got lots of critters in the garden. We have a Nisaikia that handles water-based creatures. And next slide. And we have critters that visit us at night and during the day. And birds all over the place. We have 72 different varieties of birds that have been identified in the garden. So yeah, we do share our bounty with the local inhabitants too. Next slide, please. We do serve as a unique venue. Every year we do the Winter Harvest Festival, it's called the San Isidro Festival, where we bring horses in to thresh the wheat. We have the Agave Festival, where we show how to traditionally use agaves. And we have different people and organizations coming in. This is the picture of the hotel, the Marriott up at Star Pass. They came and offered some special venues for their people. Okay, past, present, we're at the future. What is the future of Mission Garden? First, it's going to help understand that Mission Garden is part of a larger context. Mission Garden does not stand alone. It is part of, as I said, Mission San Augustine. But that's part of a concept that really was approved during 1999 bond election, Tucson Origins Heritage Park. That's another 22 acres adjacent to Mission Garden that we want to recreate. And the plans are there, actually the construction ready plans are there for almost everything in that garden, in that organization. But just recently, Tucson Origins Heritage Park has become part of an even larger context, and that is the Santa Cruz Valley National Heritage Area. That stretches from Nogales to Marana along the Santa Cruz and all of the cultural assets along it. We've been in pretty intense discussions with that organization and look forward to the future of what that brings. This is a map of that organization. And let's see. Next slide, please. We provide these essential outdoor learning environments for people of all ages, but schools have been bringing field trips to us. We offer that safe, healthy, outdoor, get your hands dirty education. And every person who visits, not just school kids, but everyone is supposed to leave having had a taste of history. Something that's in season that we can give to you to chew on while you walk around the garden. We preserve and share cultural histories. Picture of Ronald Geronimo in the upper right. He's a language expert out of Ovidon Community College. And one of the authors of that study that I talked about, of the elders and the missionary. And Josefina Lizarga is a staple of our garden. And unfortunately, we just lost Jim Griffith. He's been a huge supporter of us. Planning tomorrow's garden. Tomorrow's garden is intended to be in the southeasternmost corner. We want to be able to involve and inform people of all ages to explore how we will continue to grow food in the Sonoran Desert, given 3 challenges. 1, water scarcity. 2, population pressure, less arable land. And 3, climate change. And what we want to do is we're in a unique position from other organizations like Biosphere 2 and Tumamak, because we have plants that have been from all of these cultures, and from the Americas and from Europe, Africa, and Asia, that have been desert adapted for over 200 years. And we have the opportunity to see how those desert adapted plants are adapting to a new desert environment. And that's a pretty exciting thing to do. And finally, last slide, we are dealing with tomorrow's stewards. We have a big children's program. One of the aspects is called the Book Learning Path, where we have 20 different repositories of books and activities for families to just walk through, sit down on a bench, open the activities and read a book. They're in 3 languages. They're in English, Spanish, and Chinese. And so we're trying to involve all of the cultures in the garden to bring their histories into paths. Next slide. Come visit. We're open Wednesdays through Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's during the winter months. During the summer months, we change to 8 p.m. to noon. Okay, and last slide. Questions? I've done such a good job. Oh, good.
Not that good, bud.
Voice do I, right? So they dig a hole in the wash, I don't know how many feet deep. They would put all the melons and the squash and stuff in there, And I guess they did this from the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s until electricity got out there. And they would have fresh melons and squash for the entire winter. And I thought that was a fascinating idea, and nobody knows about it.
Now we do. That's a great story.
You guys want to talk? See if you can hear me?
So, how did you personally get involved? And then, how do you help people with their own personal gardens? Do you sell seeds or education or whatever?
Yes. I retired in 2008, and I always enjoyed as a teacher and supporting as an administrator people getting out of school and doing field trips, getting out into the real world, getting their hands dirty, so to speak. I was living in the Mercado at the time in 2008, and our house was built on a pit house that had been excavated. As you heard in my bio, I was an arrowhead hunter in my youth, so I was always interested in archaeology, anthropology. And so I kept seeing this walled-in structure that looked like, I don't know what it looked like. And my dad, who was still alive at that time, kept thinking it was going to be a trailer park. And he kept asking me, what is that going to be? And so I finally found out that there was a group that was interested in doing something with that. And I joined them in 2009. And my interest was getting kids into an outdoor museum, if you will, that would allow them to learn about not only gardening and things, but cultures. And that was my interest. Do we help gardeners? Yes. We give away free seeds. We are not allowed to sell seeds because we don't have the authority to tell you how they were raised, whether they're organic or not. But we give away a lot of free seeds. We give away a lot of produce. We have video classes. We have on-site classes. So you check our website at missiongarden.org, and all of that is available. I told you our tours took an hour and a half.
So Roger and I have been pals for a long time, and I'm embarrassed to tell you, I've been offered an opportunity to go and tour this many times, and I've done it on my own, but I've never done it with the master. So I've already told Roger to get ready, because here pretty quick we're going to go out and take a look at that. Roger, thanks for your presentation today. As you know, we have a reading library in order to promote literacy among children, and this book that you've just signed is The Very Hungry Caterpillar's Garden Picnic. So that'll go in and it'll make way for Books Library, and thank you for that. So with the history moment, I think we've got a little history moment. Gary, you want to come up and talk history? I think it must have something to do with the ride and polio. I'm just guessing.
It's recent history.
Recent history. Come on up, Gary.
Hey everybody. So before I get into the results from our ride, I just want to really acknowledge TJ and Pat, the entire El Tour crew. Daryl and I have been co-chairing this event for Rotary for 9 of the 12 years we've done it. And this is truly the best organized ride we've seen, best communication and clarity, so thank you for that. So historically, just to recall, in 1985 we had 350,000 cases of polio. In 2021, the slide is a little bit off, we had 5 cases. And so we're making remarkable progress, but we're not done. And I've shown this slide before, but it's important to note that without Mike Harris, without Richard DiBernardis, who founded Perimeter, not only would there not be a Ride 10 Polio, there probably would not be an El Tour de Tucson. And so Rotary continues to prove the power of the individual with a good idea. This year, for the first time, we took a presenting sponsor. We did that because we started the year with what Daryl and I thought was not nearly enough money to actually pull this off this year. after a 2-year hiatus. And so the Fellowship of Cycling to Serve within Rotary donated $3,000 to the cause and made us whole for the year. We intend that they will be a presenting sponsor next year as well. We had a dinner the Friday night before the ride itself. Thank Daryl Stewart for putting that together. I think the high point of that dinner was a presentation which I hope to show here, which is an 11-minute video from the World Health Organization explaining how they were able to negotiate a deal with the Taliban in Afghanistan to allow us to come back and resume door-to-door vaccination. Incredibly important for the effort that we're putting on. So we had about 10 people from our club ride in the indoor ride in polio this year. Perimeter did not put on an indoor ride, but we did this year. The intent being to allow people anywhere in the world to participate in the Ride to End Polio. And as you can see, our cyclists alone raised over $12,000. Really nice accomplishment. If you've never worked with Charlotte Harris, you should. She's our immovable force. And Charlotte is the one who headed up the indoor ride this year and broke an all-time record of raising, with the Gates match, more than $500,000 with indoor riders around the country. But always remember why we ride. So El Tour itself, the Ride to End Polio. Daryl and I really didn't know what to expect this year because there was no ride last year. We didn't know if people were still engaged or not. Well, it was super. We had 100 cyclists show up from 12 different states, riding at every distance that El Tour had to offer this year. It was as much a reunion as it was a fundraising event, and it worked very, very well. We need to thank Gary Friedman and all the clubs on the I-19 corridor for putting our aid station on this year. It was moved from Tangerine and I-10 down to Sarita because the ride was moved, and they did a fantastic job, including getting that little polio trailer to attract Rotarians and others to stop at our aid station. But always remember why we ride. Finish line booth. Thanks again to Natasha Ray and Tucson Sunset. They've staffed and organized that booth for the last 3, 4, or 5 years. I'm not sure exactly how much, but after you've ridden 100 miles on your bike, it's kind of nice to have a bottle of chocolate milk and a couple of cookies. So the results. Including the match from the Gates Foundation this year, all riders included, including indoor, we raised just under $3 million for polio eradication. And in the 12 years that we put this ride on, including the Gates match each year, we've raised over $56 million for polio eradication, the largest single fundraiser in the history of Rotary. We have a lot to be proud of. But it's not surprising because we're Rotary. Thank you.
So Gary, don't go anywhere yet. In fact, we got something we got to talk to you about here a little bit. So I think everybody knows what Mike Harris meant to this ride and how Gary stepped in, but he surely wasn't alone. Daryl was a huge part of that. Charlotte's been just a complete maniac with anything to do with this ride. So I think everybody knows that more than almost 4,300 riders registered for the participation in World Polio Day. And donations added up to about $748,000. You know, I think it's interesting kind of what's happened with the Bill and Melinda Gates match. Gary, as you know, is a member of our club, along with co-chair Daryl Stewart, has really been the guy that's been at the point with all of this. I think what we've done is just absolutely incredible as a group, and to have something like this in Tucson, Arizona, that's a tag on to El Tour. And I was just talking to TJ and Pat and John Cole not long ago and said, isn't it nice how the El Tour allows us to share and how they share? And they've been just a great supporter of everything we do. And if you're wondering why they're here, I just thought it was really important with this recognition with polio that they would be here. TJ and Pat actually dug into their archives and they have a little presentation they'd like to make to you, Gary.
Gary and other people from Rotary that rode in El Toro to Tucson in Polio, we just want to thank you. I mean, it's such an important part of the mission of what El Toro to Tucson does. Just 50 different nonprofits rode this year. Rotary was one of those, obviously the largest one. And when I see numbers like that up on the screen, it just brings tears to your eyes, because you know each and every penny is going to go to just a great cause. And when you're pedaling 102 miles, you know, that right there drives you to get to the finish. And I just want to, on behalf of El Toro and Perimeter Bicycling, our president right here, Pat Lopez, will agree that efforts like this deserve a round of applause. And just have a little presentation to give to Gary for his great efforts with Rotary on El Toro to Tucson all those years, but just a picture of Gary at that climactic moment of crossing the finish line, and the medal that he had as well. So Gary, just thank you on behalf of El Toro.
I just find that absolutely, completely, and totally, unequivocally amazing. I think all that's happening in Tucson, Arizona. So we do have our sergeant at arms is not here today, and this means that there's actually a chance that I could win. I think you know I've been buying $3 worth of tickets forever. If anybody wants to buy these now, they're $25. You're not going to go buy that.
Exactly.
I think it's the winning. So Gary, are we up to, is it $2,400?
We are at $2,401. And the King of Clubs is in here. We did verify that. I'll show you guys that in a minute. Let's do this raffle draw first. $80 cash to this number right here. Let's see. 856666. Hey! Winner, winner! Chicken dinner, chicken lunch. All right, those tickets are no good. $80 for you. Oh, and Roger's, yes, there it is. Roger was calling it. He's like, no, I want those tickets to go to. Yes, here we go. Let's find this King of Clubs. 20 tickets left in this pile. King of Clubs, right there. Let's shuffle them up here. Nancy, are you walking away with another 2,400 today? I hope.
Okay, we do have a handful of announcements. Let me fire through them really quickly. First off, we're going to talk about the fly fishing fund. Check out Mac. So this is Nicole's nephew. He's hanging out in Yellowstone. He's up on the doggone Madison, on the Madison River, and he's caught this amazing trout that he caught and released. I just think it's so cool to see a young man with a smile on his face holding that great fish. And Nicole, thank you for sharing that with us as well. I just think that's really cool. So thank you. Gary, are you going to do the announcement on the blood drive?
Let's do the announcement on the blood drive. Can I have the slide, please? Oh, look at all these. Oh, yes, our blood drive is coming up. February 16th. What day of the week is that? It's a Wednesday as well, or our meeting, right? So 10 a.m. And is there a sign up? Is it scheduled? So on the way in the lobby that we walk through on the, what is that, north side of the building, that will be cordoned off for our blood drive. And do we schedule or just show up? They will send out and we sign up online. We sign up online, I just found out, and you can sign up that way. And that's the whole deal. It's really, really good to do. It's important to do it.
Perfect. I know they have a real shortage of blood, especially O negative. I know that because I'm O negative and my phone keeps ringing. Joe DeChatelet, I think you've got a Happy Jackson. Where's Joe? There you are.
Thank you, President Mark. My Happy Jackson is for my son, Tom Brandhuber. He officially retired from the Air Force Reserves beginning of this month after 33 years of service. He continues his role as Assistant Fire Chief at Golder Ranch and continues his strong battle against multiple myeloma, which he was diagnosed with in 2017. He's an incredible young man. Thank you.
Thank you for his service. Next up, I think, Roger, you're going to talk with us a little bit about what went on with the car show and the sales out on 4th Avenue. Is that you? No. Who is that? Oh, Dave, I'm sorry. They gave me a note that Roger was going to tell us about that. So, Dave, are you going to share some information with us on how we did with the car show ticket sales and beer sales?
Hey, this was the first. Now, I know nothing about beer sales. I drink it, but I don't sell it. We sold 559 tickets at 4th Avenue Street Fair. Yeah. Our first selling event of this year. And I think we're going to have a great year. Next up is the rodeo, and they've already agreed to be a part of it. Do we know if the book festival going to actually happen live this year? Yes. It is. So we will plan on having selling tickets there as well. So looking forward to it. Hey, thanks everybody.
Thanks for everything.
You guys did such a great job selling tickets last year, and it was so challenging, but Rotary came through, thanks to every single one.
And I think we have a beer drinker who's going to talk about that. I can see Roger's going to chop it at the bit.
Yeah, also at the 4th Avenue Street Fair, we held our 7th beer booth. I'm pleased to say we raised for our scholarship kids, some of whom are here today, over approximately $3,500. And that's the equivalent of 17 members chunking in $4 into the scholarship cups every week for 50 weeks. So that's a significant amount of money. Yeah, so thank you for that. And thanks for all of you guys who came out to work. And we put in about 108 man hours, which equates to a return of $31 an hour for each hour put in. So thanks for all of you beer booth crazies who came out to help sell. And thanks for some of our scholarship students who came out with us as well.
Thank you, Roger.
Good job, good job.
Roger, that is a perfect segue into speaking of scholar students. Where's Lou? I think you've got some announcements to make.
I thought it was speaking of beer.
All right, Happy New Year, everyone. And today, when we start the new year, we have always a unique opportunity to meet some of our scholars. That's been our long-standing tradition at the club, and we're welcoming some of them today who are able to attend. So as part of the presentation, just wanted to mention to you as a history moment, the scholarship fund at the Rotary Club of Tucson started in 1946. And the starting chairperson was Emery Hyde. We don't really have great records going back prior to the year 2000, but from 2000 through the year 2020, we raised over $700,000 for our scholars. And we contributed and put through college over 420 students so far. So thank you everyone who is part of the committee. Thank you to the club for continuous support of this wonderful program. And I'm turning the microphone now to the scholars. They all will introduce themselves and mention what they're pursuing within the University of Arizona. These are all U of A students here. And what their aspirations, and I'll just turn it over.
Hi everyone, my name is Amy Pacheco Mata. And so I'm a senior. I'm graduating in May in nutritional sciences with an emphasis in dietetics. And my future goal is to become a physician assistant. So I'll be going to PA school. They're adding one at the U of A. next year. So meanwhile, I'll keep on volunteering at the border, giving vaccinations to thousands of people from Mexico. It's an amazing program that we do. What am I missing here? And this was my first year receiving this scholarship, so it was pretty awesome. So thank you so much for everything that you do. It helps us a lot. The money really helps us, not stress about our tuition, help with anything with our books, because, it's pretty expensive, but it's definitely worth it. So thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jordan Isaiah Toyos. I'm a senior at the university. My field of study is I'm majoring in law and political science with emphasis in American politics. My aspirations for after school, I will be graduating in May, and I'll be attending law school this fall. So I'm really excited for that. I have been a Rotary Scholarship recipient for 3 years, and this will be my last year. And I just want to thank everyone so much. I started my Interact Club at Tucson High Magnet School, and that's how I got started in all of this. And it's really awesome just to be here today and all the support you have all given us. With the help of the scholarship, I've been able to quit my job. I've been able to fully focus on my LSAT studies and applying to law school because it's a big, rigorous timeline. So I really appreciate it. And this money and scholarship and everyone here has just been a really big help since high school, as I said. So I remember in high school, you all helped me go to a Stanford program, actually, and helped pay for that as well for me. So I've been part of the program for a while. So I'm really grateful for everyone here, and I appreciate it. And it does really help. So I'm just proof of that. So we do really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mai Lam, and I am actually a fresh graduate this December. So thank you so much for helping me kind of go through school. I've been a part of the program for 4 years, and it's really great to see a lot of familiar faces, especially after the past few years. We haven't been able to go to meetings. Upon graduation, I am waiting on my applications for law school and MBA programs, and it's been a very exciting year. So thank you so much for your contribution to my education. We can make it 421 students that you've helped put through college, so I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. Hi, my name is Christina Felix. I'm a junior, and I'm majoring in journalism and Spanish. My aspirations after graduation in May of 2023 are to go into the public relations industry in sports. And I would just like to say thank you for your support with all the support throughout these 2 years. I've been able to pay my tuition, camera expenses, which are a little bit pricey. And I just want to say thank you for your support, for your guidance, and I really appreciate all the help.
Hi everyone and Happy New Year. So my name is Ivana de la Rosa and I'm currently a 4th year student. I'm embarking on my 5th year next year of undergrad. I'm majoring in neuroscience and cognitive science in Spanish along with a minor in biochemistry in hopes of going to medical school and then afterwards becoming a neurosurgeon one day, hopefully. So after graduation, applied to medical school, get in, but the road, as Jordan said, I have been involved with Rotary Club since high school with Interact. I went to RILA, and this past year the Rotary Scholarship has helped me do study abroad. So that was amazing, an amazing experience in and of itself, and just helped me pay for anything school-related, books, transportation. So thank you all so much. Hi everyone, my name is Sophia Urias. I am a senior this year studying law and I have a minor in philosophy, but I'm also in my 1st year of law school through U of A's 3+3 program. So I'll be graduating with my bachelor's in May, and then in 2 years I'll be graduating with my JD. I have received the Rotary Scholarship. This will be my 3rd year, and you guys have helped me tremendously. The 1 year I didn't have the scholarship, I was working full-time, going to school full-time. So you guys really let me prioritize my dreams and goals for myself, and I'll forever be thankful for that. So thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Haley Tejas. I am currently a junior here.
expected to graduate in May 2023. I'm a double major between criminal justice and public policy and management, along with a double minor in family studies and human development and sociology. After I graduate, I would love to be on the ethics boards for police departments across the nation. I want to be involved specifically in law enforcement on a management level. My entire college career, I have been on my own with being involved in youth on their own. I also have worked 2 jobs, but the scholarship has been an amazing help. I can now afford to get books for all of my classes instead of having to pick and choose which class I can succeed in. This is also my 2nd year of this scholarship, so thank you for those 2 amazing years. I also really enjoyed this opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
We'll conclude with a round of applause for the whole membership and for all your help and support to help put all these students, wonderful students, who are here today representing the rest through college. Round of applause for everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing everybody today. And I want to tell you, we're really proud of all of you. This is why we do what we do. We see amazing students. It's just really cool. I love to hear about Interact, Ryla, Rotaract. I mean, you guys are completely on top of it. Here's an early invitation. When you get done, come back. We'd love to have you as members. So in closing, a couple things. First, I just want to thank everybody for coming today. As we know, we're struggling with all this issues with this latest variant. My office is always open for comments and suggestions. Some of you have reached out to me in the past, and we've tried to implement things that we thought made sense. Don't be shy about sharing those thoughts with us. Thanks to all our guests and our visiting students. Again, we're really proud of you. Probably a good segue. There's cups on the table for scholarship. You'll notice a lot of people have a badge that have a little cup on it. Those are people that are sustaining members. If you don't have a cup on your badge, see Dorena. She'd be happy to give you one. Also, if you've not received your Rotary pin yet, you need to grab that. I want to congratulate Daryl, Gary, Charlotte for your just ongoing incredible efforts. And TJ and Pat, thank you guys for coming and make it today extra special for Gary. So upcoming programs, we've got a lot of really good stuff happening. By the way, I'm still in awe with that $54 million number. Lots of great programs coming up that's going to follow today's keynote speaker. And by the way, Roger's agreed to stick around for a couple minutes if you'd like to visit with him. I book a time to go to the gardens. Here's what's coming up. Next week, we've got Carlotta and Ray Flores coming in to talk about El Charro. It's their 100th anniversary this year. I've already gotten on Carlotta's case about being a slacker, so that she wasn't able to celebrate with us last year, but she said she'll make up for it. They'll be bringing some prizes as well. On the 19th, it's going to be a really fun program. That's Casey Hill, who runs Greater Tucson Leadership, and she'll be here. We've also invited the 40 under 40 recipients to come and join us. I think so far there's about 15 or 16 that have said they're going to be here. And then our buddies at HSL are going to sponsor that meeting. And Rob Draper and Buck O'Reilly will be here with a little surprise for J-Ted as well. So Kathy Prather will be here. And then we're going to wrap up on the 28th, the end of the month, with a car show update. And we'll get to hear from Joni and our new car show chair, Bobby, all about what's going on. Say again? Oh, and Jim, yeah, Lubinsky. I always forget about Jim Lubinsky. He's got to talk about what happened with the centennial. Sorry, Jim. Jim who? Sorry about that. Okay, so time for that toast and adjourn. I want to remind you, if you've got your eyes set or legs set on going ice skating, it closes this weekend, so hop out there and do that. Here's to those like Roger Pfeiffer and also my friend Fletcher McCusker for having the vision and the support that is necessary to take care of a Tucson treasure. Here's to those that make a difference. Cheers. Cheers. We're adjourned. I look forward to seeing everybody next week.
So how much did you pay for your bulldog?
$400.
Oh, that's cheap.
Yeah, super cheap.
They're way expensive.
$2,000. This guy who lives here from California and his dog was not supposed to have a litter, but I guess the wife wasn't careful. The dog had a litter and he was just giving it away. So my husband like a dog with a bone trying to find a dog.
Old English Bulldog?
We don't know how we were heard. There were no open mics.
Yeah, I don't know. Bob called and
Logan?
he was watching it and he said,
Hey guys, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
No open mics.
Yeah,
There's
so,
no open
so
mics.
far.
They're,
Yeah, that's, and I wanted a little.
He's tested it just
He's gonna be beast.
15 minutes ago.
Beast.
And we couldn't hear
But he's
anything.
actually, he's really cool.
He is like, she's Old English Bulldog.
Things are strange.
it never gets
Oh, he's so adorable. This guy's only 5 months old.
It's going to fill out. It's going to be like, oh, I should fix it. Here, let me put it on.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, we started talking Bulldog.
Oh, I can't wait. She's adorable.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, there's a cool thing that the kids, you might really like it. Petco puts something called Pup Box, P-U-P-B-O-X, and every month they get a box of new toys and things and treats. It's like $30, and it's super fun, and the kids would have fun with it with the dog. We're gonna get out and give the dog their
Oh, thank you. I will definitely look into
Pup
that.
Box.
That's really awesome. Pup Box.